everybody, this is Moose here, and you are watching In the Mirror Car Reviews. And today I have something very special for you. This is the 2023 Genesis G90. I'm going to show you around, walk around the exterior, interior, take you for a little test drive, let you know what I think, and to sum it all up, I'm going to tell you whether you should shortlist this vehicle, right, really consider it, or just go right ahead and buy it. And please remember, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe, like, and comment below this video. Thank you so much, and let's get to it. This right here is the updated model for 2023, a complete redesign for the very old, since 2017, only once facelifted Genesis G90. This right here is a very much so improved vehicle, which is based on the Genesis G80 chassis, just of course elongated to give you a much nicer riding experience, a lot more space in the back, so you can be chauffeured around a little bit as well. This is meant to compete directly against something like a Mercedes S-Class, BMW 7 Series, Audi A8, and Lexus LS. Now do let me know, guys, what do you think about the design of this brand new G90? I think it looks stunning. This clamshell type hood is really beautiful. Genesis' new aesthetic with the bold grille and two sleek lights that wrap around all the way around the car. I believe it looks really nice. But let me know, what do you think is a better looking car? This, the Audi A8 S-Class, or the BMW 7 Series? A little bit more about the front. Genesis finally decided to get rid of those ugly radars that were implemented inside of the grille of the G90 and place them down here in the lower portion of the front bumper, which gives it a nice, really clean look. Really cool graphics. As you can see, there are some graphics behind the grille as well. A nice and flushly mounted Genesis logo. And of course, the slimmest lights Genesis has ever fitted to any of their cars. Kind of look like pixels. Really interesting. They're the daytime running lights, low and high beams as well as the turn signals. The whole design philosophy of Genesis is meant to mimic the actual emblem. Have a really nice crest right there in the middle and the wings that spread out. Well, if you take a look at the front of the car, you can tell that that grille is that crest, and those two sleek lights going around the whole car will make up your wings. Pretty neat, isn't it? At Genesis, you get these really interesting looking 20-inch alloy wheels with Genesis branded brakes behind there, wrapped in these decent Michelin tires. It's a staggered design. You have 245 in the front and a 275 section tire here in the rear. Gives it that nice staggered look. Gives it a little bit more muscle, especially with this bulge back here. Gives that more muscular stance to the vehicle. Makes it look a little bit lower, a little wider, and low slung. Come here to the back. The whole design philosophy of those two sleek lights continues. And you have two sleek LED lights going across the whole rear end of the vehicle. Genesis spelled out on the back, the G90 emblem. A small little detail. All the exhaust tips on almost all the Genesis, except for the G70, have a shape similar and reminiscent to the Genesis logo up front. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you think of the rear end of this vehicle? I think it looks very nice, certainly quite a bit better than the previous generation. So getting inside of the Genesis G90, there were really nice key fob with a lot of functionality down there as well. You can remotely start the vehicle from the key fob, move it in and out with Hyundai's and Genesis' really interesting smart park system. Let's take a look at these door handles. Once you approach the car unlocks itself, and the flush mounted handles come out to greet you. All you do is just pull on them, and it opens up the door, and you're greeted with this beautiful Bordeaux brown interior. Have ambient lighting inside of the door panels. A really nice touchscreen for the passengers in the rear. Have a pass-through for skis or any longer objects. Of course, being a premium sedan, there's plenty of leg room. Headroom is really good as well. Functionality of this screen we'll get to in just a minute. Have AC vents mounted in the center console over here, as well as to the sides. Closing up the door here. They also have soft closing doors. The overall cabin feels very nice and luxurious. All the materials from the door panel, very nice and soft touch leather. This material right here is very interesting, very different, but I like it a lot. Got a little bit more cheap plastics down here where it really doesn't matter. Have matte pockets over here as well, which actually have a little bit of carpet to them, which is nice. Legroom is very, very generous. Seats are super plush and comfortable. Talking about this display over here, these are all of your main controls for your climate, sunshades, sunroof controls, as well as media controls. It's a touchscreen. All I got to do is just tap on here. So here you can see it, climate, seat, shades, and lights. And you can also play around with the settings in here as well. So if you'd like, you can change around the ambient lighting. As you can see, the touch dial right here has a purple glow to it, as you can tell, and the doors here too. Very spacious and luxurious. Really neat. You have a little center console over here, which you can open up by just pressing the button in there. For the first time ever, I've never seen this before in a car, what you can do is you can disinfect your phone. All you got to do is just place your phone in there. And you have these rays over here which will disinfect your phone. You have several USB ports. All you got to do is just press that button in to activate UVC. Throw your phone in there, let it sit for about 10 minutes, and you'll get a really clean phone out. Now, getting into the front of the Genesis G90 here, you're greeted with a very adjustable seat. Everything's electronic, from your thigh support, front and back, up and down, of course, recline, headrest is electronic, four-way lumbar support, and you can also change the bolstering, which automatically tightens up once you put it in sport mode. Door panel over here. Same design from the rear, goes all the way to the front. You can see the Bang & Olufsen sound system. 3-stage memory. You can also adjust the passenger seat. You would just press this button and start adjusting the driver's seat to move around the passenger seat. And also, for the first time ever, you get real massage in the Genesis G90. Once again, that electronic release for your door. Your window switches, everything's nice and physical, very easily laid out and simple to control. Wow, what a beautiful steering wheel. Really nice design. Airbag kind of sticks out, and you have this background of the same leather as the dashboard and the seats. Gives it a nice little 3D effect to the steering wheel. Buttons are easily laid out. Once again, they're physical, except for this haptic touch button over here, which controls some of the commands, such as your radio presets and the widgets that I'll show you in that dashboard as well. Now, one thing to note, if you're coming from a Hyundai or a Genesis, these controls are switched. So usually in a Hyundai or a Genesis, you have your vehicle controls like your cruise control and everything like that on the right side, and all of your Bluetooth controls and radio controls on the left side. That's just something to note. And there's your gauge cluster. Fully digital, very easily customizable as well. It's very neat, as you can actually now cycle in and have a map displayed here. Kind of like an Audi-like, except it's not using Google. It's using the Genesis built-in system. You can also change by pressing this button over here from these dials to a more traditional dial here as well. You can change your tire pressures, see your safety features in here. We go in here, using this little haptic button over here, you can scroll up and down. There you go, drive information, auto stop, accumulated info. You can see your radio settings in here as well. And press and hold to close that up and open up the view for the whole map. Nice and interesting. Now also, a very interesting design is these two ridges over here that kind of go around that center display. I really like how they did that design element and kind of separates these two screens up a little bit instead of having those traditional like singular displays over here. Very nice touch. Have some buttons over here like your trunk release and to adjust the brightness of all your displays in here. There's your infotainment system. Genesis has always done a really good job of making it nice and simple. Everything's in one single file line. Everything's labeled very, very easily. So playing around with this, it's not going to be troublesome whatsoever. Thank you, Genesis, for giving physical controls for the infotainment display. So you can just click map and easily and straightforward go to map, radio, seek and track, and go into your settings here as well. Nice and simple. We like that. And down below you have your climate control. You have physical toggle over here for your temperature, physical buttons for auto, defrost, recirculation, and stuff like that, which we like. And then you have a nice touch display. It is a touch display, but it's very simple to use. You just select where you want the air to go. You have separate controls for driver and passenger, so you can select different fan speeds for both driver and passenger sides, different temperatures, of course, as well, and where you want the air to flow. And there you can see it. You can select different amounts of fragrance level coming inside of the cabin. So guys, let me know, what do you think about this whole interior of the Genesis G90? I really like how simple it is, very intuitive. Over here you have two cup holders. I'm sure it holds cups very nicely in here. Just push it forward to close that up. Down here you're greeted with a really nice dial, which puts this in drive, reverse, and on reverse it vibrates very nicely, and park right over here as well. And this controls your infotainment display. So you can do both touch, or you can navigate it using the command center over here as well. Volume knob, tune knob, we like that. It's in an interesting placement, not traditionally found like over here, but very easy to use, and you get used to this. And a really nice fingerprint scanner, which you can have different driver profiles to remember different settings for different drivers. All you got to do is start the car, put your fingerprint on there, and the car recognizes who's driving the vehicle. Heated and cooled seats, driver and passenger, cameras in different drive modes. Let's turn on the cameras. Of course, you have full 360 view, and you can also select this view and toggle around the entire G90. Change the color of your G90 to actually match the outside of your car. Very nice. Nice and clever. Wireless charger pad right in there. Just slide your phone in here. And here you can open up your little cubby, which is nice and deep. You have some USB ports in here as well. And what's really clever is that you can take off this little panel over here. And if you had some stuff that fell into this cubby over here, you can see my finger down there. Now in the trunk of the Genesis G90, to open that up, all you got to do is just press this button over here. It's a power operated trunk. So you have simple buttons, open and close the trunk, and close the trunk and lock the vehicle. Now about the actual trunk, it's got a pretty wide opening. A lot of nice space over here to put things in. However, I do have to tell you, I believe it is a smaller trunk in comparison to the previous generation. These bulges over here where your wheel wells are, they kind of eat into the space. Got a little nice map over here, little pocket over here. You can see the ski pass through over there as well. Little box with your fragrances. And you get a spare tire, all your tools necessary, and the batteries tucked underneath there as well for better weight distribution. Overall, it's a usable trunk. However, it's something probably a little bit on the smaller side. So if you're looking for trunk space, something to consider. And a special thanks to Gettle Hyundai and Genesis of Sarasota for providing me this vehicle today. All right, so setting off in the 2023 Genesis G90. Use this gear selector over here. Very nice operation and very satisfying resistance that it has to it. A lot of people say that this might be a little confusing to use between the shifter and this dial to use your infotainment system, but I refuse to think so because it is quite intuitive. All right. So this G90 has the same 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 that you can find in pretty much all the other Genesis vehicles, such as the GV70, the GV80, the G80. The G70 has different engine configurations as well, but shared platform with the G80, like I mentioned earlier, feels quite a bit different, however. It is a longer chassis. The engine and transmission do feel a little different. It feels like the shifts are quite a bit smoother. They're smoothened out a little bit in this particular vehicle, but you'll have to say the power does feel a little bit better in this one than it does in all those other models. I have no idea, maybe the transmission's tuned a little differently, or maybe the gearing is a little bit shorter, but it certainly does feel a little bit nicer. The cabin is very quiet. All the windows inside of the vehicle, front and back, have acoustic glass, so it really helps minimize the noise coming inside of the cabin. And you also have active noise cancellation. There's these little microphones throughout the whole cabin to minimize the noise that's inside of the cabin here. Gotta love this camera. Hyundai and Genesis provides you. Oh yeah. It's a very smooth V6. Plenty of torque. It is a very torquey motor. It feels more like thrust instead of this brutal acceleration, but it does have plenty of power and plenty of get up and go. You do have the option for that electric supercharged model, which will give you benefit of over 400 horsepower and quite a bit more torque to kind of fill in the gap of turbo lag. Suspension is nice and smooth. Don't have a lot of bumps here, but you can tell, certainly. This model has electronically controlled suspension. Obviously, it changes based on different drive modes. Right now I have it in a normal standard comfort setting. Transmission is very, very smooth. You can barely feel the shifts. You can certainly feel a little bit of body roll in the standard comfort setting. Let's switch that around and put it here in the sporty setting. And immediately you can feel the bolsters firming up a little bit. The gauge cluster changes here as well. And while we're stuck here in some traffic, let's play around a little bit with that sound system and those different mute curators here and just see how that sounds like. Let's try out Delight. Shades are going down. Oh yeah, this Bang & Olufsen sound system sounds fantastic. It's very crisp and clear. The bass is solid. A funky little song over here. I'm sure most of you are just going to listen to the radio, Sirius XM, or off of your phone, but if you want to change things up a little bit, have a different fragrance inside of the vehicle and feel different massage and stuff like that, the Mood Curator is quite nice. All right, let's test out the pickup here in sport mode, see if that's any different. Oh yeah, very smooth. Do hear the engine a little bit more, I believe, in sport mode. It might just be because it's revving out a little bit higher, but this whole car is all about luxury and comfort. There's not much to be desired in terms of any additional performance. This is a nice cruiser. Even in sport mode with the dampening set to be a little bit more firm, you can barely feel those bumps over there. Now keep in mind, in the electric supercharged model, you also get air suspension and rear wheel steer, which will probably make the handling characteristics a little bit different in comparison to this model over here. But that is just about a $10,000 upgrade to get the electronic supercharger, the rear seat amenities, as well as the rear wheel steer and the air suspension in the vehicle. And also a really cool feature, which the electric supercharge has, is buttons over here to close the doors, front and back. So you can really be chauffeured. You can get in the vehicle and your driver can just press a button and close the door for you. How neat is that? All right, so by pressing and holding the drive mode button, you get into something called chauffeur mode. And that will prioritize comfort for the rear seat. That will make the rear suspension a little bit softer. It will change the gear shift patterns, power delivery a little bit differently. I can tell you one thing, that it tends to hold the gear a little bit longer in chauffeur mode, which is quite interesting. Gosh, these cameras are really, really nice to have. You can see everything behind you in your blind spot, changing lanes, especially on the interstate. Yeah, so as you can see, the transmission shifting right around 3,000 RPM in chauffeur mode, which will certainly help with the rear passenger comfort. So smooth. Turn on these lane follow assist features and let the car drive itself. Also have adaptive cruise control. Let's see how it reacts to this car up front. Beautifully. Brakes at a nice distance, not too harsh. It's not confused going through intersections. Does such a good job. Very relaxing drive. You turn on your massage seat here. Whole body stretching. I can certainly say this certainly does feel like almost a $100,000 vehicle. You can certainly justify the price tag of this vehicle. So all in all, what can I say about the brand new 2023 Genesis G90? Well, in my personal opinion, I think this is a fantastic car. I really like this new design. The very low slung front end makes it look quite a bit more aggressive. I think it really stands apart, and I think the Germans really should watch out. The interior is beautiful, very smooth driving feel, and it just has absolutely enough of everything that you would want in a car, a luxury vehicle such as this one, without all the unnecessary other things that some other vehicles might offer you. Well guys, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you think about this vehicle overall in the comment section below. Please remember to subscribe. I'm Samus, and this is In the Mirror Car Reviews. Thank you so much for watching.